little snail, and Dolly the ladybird play with their forest friends in their happy little world. Dolly the ladybird and Berry the little snail, always fun games to play, always a brand new tale. Berry and Dolly say, what will we learn today?
Sunflowers. Berry and Dolly planted sunflower seeds in the spring and watered the seeds until little shoots soon appeared. The shoots grew into little plants that grew into big plants. Then buds appeared that opened into lovely yellow flowers in the summer. Hooray! The friends cheered when they saw the lovely flowers. Berry noticed that the flowers pointed one way in the morning and another in the afternoon. Look, Dolly, they're turning their heads. That's because they always turn to face the sun. That's why they're called sunflowers. When the sun went down, the sunflowers hung their heads and went to sleep. All the forest friends were woken the next morning by shouts of panic. Oh dear, what's happened? Our lovely sunflowers! Dolly cried. Who could have done such a terrible thing? Berry wept. Someone has chewed through the stems of our sunflowers. Flutter washed their wounds with fresh dew, and Dolly bandaged them all with soft blades of grass. The sunflowers slowly started to smile again. The friends all gathered in Balthazar's house to decide what to do next. What are we going to do? Berry sobbed. Someone needs to stand guard at night. I'll go first, said Dolly bravely. The little ladybird hid quietly behind the bush and kept a close eye on the sunflowers. She didn't have to wait for very long. A hamster soon appeared and started to chew at the stems of the sunflowers. Dolly jumped out from her hiding place and shouted, "Shoo!" This surprised the hamster and he ran away. He didn't come back again that night. Flutter guarded the sunflowers the next night, and then Balthazar, and then Stanley. Soon it was Berry's turn. The little snail hid quietly behind the bush and waited. He waited and waited until he eventually fell asleep. He wasn't even woken by the sound of the hamster chewing at the sunflower stems. Oh dear, I must have fallen asleep. I didn't guard the sunflowers, Berry sobbed when he saw the sadly sagging sunflowers the following morning. Berry fell asleep. He slept while the hamster chewed the stems again. Why do you all look so sad? Asked Dr. Owl. Dolly told him what had happened to the sunflowers. I think you should talk to the hamster. Ask him not to hurt the sunflowers, Dr. Owl suggested. There he is. He's asleep in the bush, Berry whispered to the others. The noise woke the sleeping hamster. The hamster looked scared of the friends and the friends felt frightened of the hamster. There's no need to be scared of us. We just wanted to ask you not to chew our sunflowers. But then, what will I eat? The hamster told them. We'll bring you plenty of apples and carrots to nibble on. Where do you live? The little snail asked. I haven't got a house of my own, the hamster said sadly. You haven't got a house? Balthazar repeated in surprise. Then we'll build you one. Dolly brought apples, Berry brought seeds, Flutter brought raisins, Balthazar brought dandelion leaves, and Stanley brought carrots. My new house is really super, the hamster said with a cheery smile. And thank you so much for all the yummy food. The hamster never chewed the sunflower stems again, and they smiled happily at Berry and Dolly and all their friends for the rest of the summer.
Berry the little snail and Dolly the ladybird play with their forest friends in their happy little world. Dolly the ladybird and Berry the little snail, always fun games to play, always a brand new tale. Berry and Dolly say, what will we learn today?
Pebbles. One sunny summer afternoon, Dolly decided to cook a strawberry cake. She asked Stanley the stag beetle and Balthazar the bee to go and collect wild strawberries in the forest. The two boys set off. Balthazar soon spotted a pebble in the middle of the path, and he started to kick it along. But Stanley also liked the look of the pebble, and he tackled it off Balthazar.
That's not fair, Stanley. I found it. I want to kick it down the path.
It's my pebble now. Find another pebble to kick.
But I found it, so it's mine.
Balthazar moaned. There are loads of pebbles. Find another one, Stanley said, trying to close the argument. But Balthazar wouldn't leave it at that. He pushed Stanley out of the way so that he could kick the pebble. The two of them continued to push and shove until they both tumbled down the hill into the babbling brook. Alfonso the cricket came out of his house to see what all the noise was about. What's going on? He asked.
It's all Stanley's fault. He took my pebble.
It wasn't your pebble. I was just a better kicker. That's enough of that, Alfonso interrupted. Come inside, get dry, and then tell me all about what started this silly argument. The two boys muttered to themselves as they followed the cricket into his little house. They hung their wet clothes out in the hot sun and sat wrapped in towels while they waited for them to dry. Alfonso gave them both a glass of lemonade and a biscuit. The sun's warm rays soon dried the clothes. Stanley and Balthazar munched sulkily on their biscuits. They told Alfonso all about what had happened and how they had rolled down the hill into the brook. I've got a whole collection of pebbles.
Pebbles? Can we have a look?
Balthazar enthused. Of course, Alfonso said with a proud smile, and he placed a large box on the table. Where did you find all these lovely pebbles? Stanley asked. Down by the brook. You can collect some too if you like. They filled their baskets with pebbles. They sat sorting them and organising them until it started to get dark. The little stag beetle and the bee boy said goodbye to their cricket friend and started to walk back up the hill. They soon came to Dolly's house. The little ladybird girl shouted angrily out of the window. Where are the strawberries? Oh dear.
The strawberries?
We forgot the strawberries.
Dolly, look at the lovely pebbles we collected with Alfonso.
What am I supposed to do with them? Make pebble cakes? I asked for strawberries. But we forgot, Stanley admitted, and he told her the whole long story. Well, I see. Let me have a look at those pebbles, if you didn't bring any strawberries. We should paint something on them. This one looks just like a little house. And this one, I might paint a smiley face on it.
That's a super idea. We can invite the others and spend all day painting pebbles.
Great! The next morning, Berry the little snail boy arrived at Dolly's house with Flutter the butterfly, Zephyr the dragonfly, Leapy the grasshopper, Eddie the potato beetle and Bubble the baby beetle. Where are Stanley and Balthazar? Berry asked with a disappointed sigh. Here we are, the stag beetle and the bee boy announced, and they proudly presented Dolly with a big basket of strawberries. Oh, thank you, the little ladybird girl said, and she mixed the cake while the others got to work painting the pebbles. When they had finished, they invited Alfonso to come and see their exhibition. They all look really good. I'll bring my pebbles tomorrow and we can paint them too, the cricket told his friends. When the strawberry cake was ready, they all sat around the table and ate every last crumb.
Berry the little snail and Dolly the ladybird play with their forest friends in their happy little world. Dolly the ladybird and Berry the little snail, always fun games to play, always a brand new tale. Berry and Dolly say, what will we learn today?
Flutter goes skiing. On a winter day, Iris the ice beetle invited all her friends to go skiing. Has everyone got skis? She asked. I haven't, said Berry. And I haven't, Leapy the grasshopper girl joined in. Neither have I, Flutter the butterfly added. Then let's make some skis for you. It isn't hard, Iris said with a smile. The friends all joined in. They sawed and sanded thin planks of wood, fixed foot straps to them, and made poles for everyone. And the skis were finished by lunchtime. They all walked up the hill together. When they got to the top, they strapped on their skis and put on their ski helmets. Then Iris asked, "Does everyone know how to ski? I can teach anyone who doesn't." They all nodded except for Flutter. The little butterfly girl didn't know how to ski, but she didn't say anything. It can't be all that hard. I'll soon get the hang of it, she thought to herself. She only dared whisper the truth to the green grub. Berry was the first to go. Whoopee! He shouted with a broad grin as he sped down the snowy hillside. Dolly came after Berry, and then Balthazar, and then the others. Flutter was the last one to set off. She took a deep breath and pushed herself off. The only problem was she didn't know how to stop. She carried on skiing over the next hill and then the hill after that until she had skied a very long way away from the others. The little butterfly girl only stopped when she fell over into a big pile of snow. It was a while before the others realised that Flutter was missing. Flutter doesn't know how to ski, the green grub eventually told them. She can't ski, they all asked in surprise. This was her first time. She was very nervous, but she didn't dare to mention it. Oh, I'm frightened that something terrible has happened to her. The friends set off to search for Flutter. Dr. Owl was flying past and he spotted Flutter in the snow below. Flutter, what happened to you? He asked. I couldn't stop and I fell over in the snow. I really hurt myself. I thought I'd never be able to stop. I don't want to ski again, Flutter sobbed. Dr. Owl felt very sorry for the little butterfly girl, so he put her on his back and took her to his house. I'll bandage you up and then I'll take you to Iris's house. I'm sure the others will be looking for you, Dr. Owl said in a reassuring voice. The little friends frantically searched around, but they couldn't find Flutter anywhere. They walked sadly back to Iris's house. But Flutter was waiting for them when they arrived. They were overjoyed. Hooray! Are you all right, Flutter? Tell us what happened to you, Dolly told her. Flutter told them the whole story from beginning to end. So you don't know how to ski? Iris asked in surprise. I'll teach you. You'll soon learn how to turn and stop, and you'll be able to ski down even the steepest hills. Thank you, the butterfly girl said with a smile. Iris started to teach Flutter to ski the very next morning. By the end of the first day, the little butterfly girl could ski down small hills and stop safely at the bottom. Look! Flutter can ski! This calls for a celebration, Stanley shouted, and he started to play a tune on the icicles. The others sang and danced around the happy little butterfly.
Berry Berry the little snail and Dolly the ladybird play with their forest friends in their happy little world. Dolly the ladybird and Berry the little snail, always fun games to play, always a brand new tale. Berry and Dolly say, what will we learn today?
The Puppet Show. One sunny summer morning, Berry knocked hard on Dolly's door.
It's the puppet show today. Let's go and tell Flutter and Eddie too.
Berry and Dolly's first stop was at the pretty butterfly's house.
Wake up, Flutter. The fleas are going to give a puppet show. It's Snow White.
The little friends stopped in front of the potato beetle's house.
Eddie, are you coming to see the puppet show?
But Eddie didn't open his door.
Hurry up, Eddie. We're going to be late,
Berry shouted, but there was still no answer. Flutter gently turned the handle and popped her head inside.
Are you still in your pyjamas, Eddie?
Berry grumbled.
Hurry up and get dressed.
I'm not going. My tummy's covered in nasty bites. It really itches, Eddie sobbed.
Let me have a look,
Dolly told him.
They're not bites. You've got chicken pox,
the ladybird girl told her sickly friend.
There's no need to be scared. I've had them already, and I had thousands of spots. I'll go and get Dr. Owl,
Dolly announced.
He'll know what to do.
Dr. Owl soon arrived and took a good look at Eddie. It's definitely chickenpox. Chickenpox is contagious, Eddie. I'm afraid you won't be able to go to the puppet show. Contagious? Does that mean Berry, Dolly and Flutter are going to catch my chickenpox? No, don't worry. You can only catch chickenpox once, and they all had it last year. You mustn't scratch your spots.
There'll be another puppet show,
Berry reassured him.
Don't be sad. You'll get better soon,
Dolly smiled. Berry, Dolly and Flutter said goodbye to the little potato beetle and hurried off to see the puppet show. The puppet show was already set up in the meadow, and the puppeteers were 5 fleas. The curtains soon opened, and the puppet show began. They all watched the rest of the puppet show and clapped loudly at the end. The flea puppeteers came out from behind the tent and took a bow.
It's such a shame that Eddie couldn't come with us,
Dolly said with a sad smile. I'm sure he'd have really liked it.
Why don't we put a puppet show on for him?
Dolly suddenly suggested.
That's a super idea, Dolly,
Flutter said. And the 3 friends were soon all hard at work. Flutter drew dwarves, Dolly drew Snow White and the Prince, and Berry drew the Wicked Queen. Then they cut their drawings out and glued them onto sticks. When they were ready, they all crept under Eddie's window and tapped on the glass. The little potato beetle opened the window and looked out.
Let the puppet show begin,
Berry announced, and the 3 friends started the show.
Thank you, he said. You're the best friends a beetle could have.
Dr. Owl came back 10 days later, and all Eddie's spots had gone.
Berry little snail and Dolly the ladybird play with their forest friends in their happy little world. Dolly the ladybird and Berry the little snail, always fun games to play, always a brand new tale. Berry and Dolly say, what will we learn today?
The scooter. One spring morning, Morris the Maybug decided to make himself a scooter. He spent the whole day sawing, drilling and hammering, and when he was finished, he painted the scooter black. Then he hurried to show his super scooter to his friends. The boys were all playing basketball in the meadow. Berry, Stanley, Balthazar, Eddie, Bubble and Alfonso.
Look at my new scooter. I made it all myself.
Can I have a try?
No one can borrow it. It's mine.
I only want to try it for a minute.
We'd like to have a go on it too, then we'll give it back.
I'm not lending it to anyone, Morris told them again.
The boys were so busy arguing that they didn't spot Eddie, who grabbed the scooter and rode off on it.
Stop! Bring it back. It's my scooter and I didn't lend it to you. I'm not lending it to anyone.
Eddie slowed down and Morris soon caught up with him.
Give me my scooter back.
Here you are. It doesn't go fast enough anyway.
Not fast enough? Look at this. Not fast enough? You can hardly keep up with me.
He shouted with a laugh, but he didn't see a big pothole in the middle of the road.
Watch out, Morris!
Balthazar, Berry and Stanley all shouted at once, but it was too late.
Well, you've only got yourself to blame, Morris,
Balthazar said in a snooty tone.
What happened, Morris? Are you badly scratched? Why aren't you boys helping him?
The rose beetle asked the others.
It's all Morris's fault.
It doesn't matter how it happened. He's really hurt himself and you should have helped. Come back to my house, Morris, and I'll clean those nasty scratches for you.
Rosita sat Morris down and washed his wounds with a warm, wet cloth.
It doesn't look that bad now.
Morris started to sob.
It was all my fault because I was mean to the others. If I hadn't been so mean, it wouldn't have happened. Then don't be mean next time. Thank you for all your help,
Morris said as he left.
It was nothing. You'll feel better soon.
Morris limped all the way back to his house. The minute he got home, he jumped into bed and he was soon fast asleep. The little Maybug woke up the next morning with a wonderful idea. He got out his paints and brushes.
I'm going to paint you pink. Look at you. I've brought this for you. Thank you for helping me yesterday. It looks lovely. Did you paint it?
Rosita asked.
Yes, I thought you wouldn't like it black. I love it. I'm going to ride it over to Dolly's house. Be careful. Have a safe ride.
Morris walked home and he was about to eat his lunch when he heard a knock at the door.
Hello, Morris,
Balthazar said first.
We came to see if you were feeling better.
Much better, thank you, Morris shrugged. I promise that I won't take your scooter again, Eddie said with an apologetic smile.
I haven't got it anymore. I painted it pink and gave it to Rosita.
But I can make a new scooter, Morris said.
I promised Rosita that I won't be mean again. Everyone can have a go on my new scooter when it's finished. Hooray!
Bubble shouted.
Now would you all like a piece of apple pie? I baked it myself.
Morris soon finished the new scooter. He painted it dark green. All the friends gathered in the meadow the next day and took turns to have a go on the two scooters.
Berry
Berry the little snail and Dolly the ladybird play with their forest friends in their happy little world. Dolly the ladybird and Berry the little snail, always fun games to play, always a brand new tale. Berry and Dolly say, what will we learn today?
Bubble's Tower. It was a lovely summer afternoon and Bubble the baby beetle decided to play with his colourful building blocks. I'm going to build a tall tower with my blocks, he thought to himself and carried them to a hill nearby. He tipped the bright blocks out of their box in the shade of a big oak tree. As the tower grew, it was harder and harder for Bubble to reach the top. He had to stand on tiptoe and was just reaching for the top when his hand slipped and the tower tumbled to the ground. Oh no, Bubble complained. Now I have to start all over again. So the baby beetle started again from the beginning. The tower soon began to grow and was very tall indeed. But oh dear, an acorn from the oak tree knocked the baby beetle's tower down. My lovely tower! My tower's ruined again! It was the silly oak tree's fault, he said out loud. So little Bubble started again, but this time he moved out from under the old oak tree. He was stacking the blocks on top of each other when his friends Berry the snail, Dolly the ladybug and Stanley the stag beetle came walking over. Wow, you've built a beautiful tower, Bubble, they all said. Yes, it's nearly finished. All I have to do is put the red triangle on the very top. But then the wind blew and toppled his tall tower. Bubble got very angry. I don't believe it. I don't want to build towers anymore. I'm going home. His friends ran after him. Bubble, wait! Why don't we rebuild your tower together? No, I don't want to build towers anymore. You can't build a really high tower with this many blocks anyway, grumbled. He went into his house and slammed the door shut. How can we help Bubble? Dolly puzzled. We've got to think of a way to cheer him up somehow. I know what we can do, Stanley said. I've got another set of building blocks at home. I'll go and fetch them so we can build a really high tower together. That's a super idea. I've a box full of building blocks too. And I'll bring mine. We'll build the tallest tower ever. Berry pulled his blocks in a little trailer. Dolly pushed hers in a wheelbarrow. And Stanley carried his in a big basket. Hello, Bubble. Look, we brought our building blocks. Why don't we build a big tower together? Dolly asked nicely. We could build it in your house so that the wind won't knock it down again, Berry added. Goodness me, look at all those building blocks. We'll be able to build a very big tower with them, the baby beetle said with a smile. And now it's time to pop the red triangle on the top. You should put it on, Bubble, Stanley suggested. Hooray! It's finished! They all shouted together. Then Berry, Dolly and Stanley said goodnight to Bubble. The baby beetle went to bed very happy that night. He stared at the tower until he fell fast asleep.
Berry the little snail and Dolly the ladybird play with their forest friends in their happy little world. Dolly the ladybird and Berry the little snail, always fun games to play, always a brand new tale. Berry and Dolly say, what will we learn today?
The Mushroom's Cap. Berry, Dolly, Balthazar, Flutter, Stanley and Bubble all set off for a long walk in the woods. They were strolling happily along when they heard someone crying.
It's coming from behind that bush,
Berry whispered to the others. They saw a little mushroom crying, and he looked odd because he didn't have a cap.
Who took your cap?
Dolly asked in her kindest voice.
I don't know. It was missing when I woke up this morning.
Don't worry, we'll help you. We'll find you another cap.
Berry reassured the miserable mushroom. The friends all ran back to their houses and returned carrying all kinds of different caps and hats.
We've brought some new hats to try,
they said, and tried them all on the mushroom's head in turn. Dolly put her dotted hat on him first, but it didn't seem to suit the mushroom at all. Then Flutter put her witch's hat on his head.
But I don't want to be a nasty witch,
the mushroom grumbled. Then Bubble produced a yellow baseball cap, but it was too small. Berry was next to try.
I've brought two hats. This is my gardening hat, and this is my devil's hat.
The gardening hat looked funny on the mushroom's head, but he wasn't happy.
I don't like this one,
he said in a sullen voice. The devil's hat made him even angrier.
I'm not a little devil, you know,
he shouted with a red face. But he got most upset when Balthazar showed him the red saucepan.
But this is a saucepan. I can't go around with a silly saucepan.
It's not a normal saucepan,
Balthazar replied sharply.
It's our snowman's hat.
The last one to try was Stanley the stag beetle, who had brought a top hat for the mushroom.
Oh, I quite like the look of this one,
the mushroom enthused.
But can't you find my old cap? That's the one I want to wear the most.
So the forest friends started to search for the mushroom's spotty cap. 3 canary chicks suddenly flew by.
We know where the mushroom's cap is. We saw 3 woodworms using it for a rowing boat.
Everyone down to the stream, Dolly shouted. And sure enough, 3 woodworms were singing and rowing along in the mushroom's cap.
Give the mushroom his cap back,
Berry shouted.
But we promised to go visit our friends the fleas. We need a boat to get to their house.
But that's a cap, not a boat, and it belongs to the mushroom. Give it back to him, Berry argued. The woodworms eventually gave in and gave the cap back.
But how will we go and see the fleas now?
They asked sadly.
We can take you. We're flying to the little island,
the 3 canary chicks twittered.
Hooray! We're going to fly!
The woodworms shouted and jumped for joy. But we have to take the mushroom his cap back first.
You mean the boat?
The naughty woodworms chuckled, but Dolly gave them one of her serious looks and they stopped laughing.
Thank you so much,
the mushroom said with a big smile as he put it on his head.
It fits just perfectly.
The woodworms hopped onto the canaries' backs.
Have a safe trip,
the mushroom shouted. Enjoy the flight, the others added. The forest friends all said a final goodbye to the mushroom and walked home with their hats on their heads.
Berry little snail and Dolly the ladybird play with their forest friends in their happy little world. Dolly the ladybird and Berry the little snail, always fun games to play, always a brand new tale. Berry and Dolly say, what will we learn today?
The football match. One morning, Stanley was woken by the sound of someone knocking on his door.
Stanley, it's me, Frank.
The little stag beetle crawled out of his bed and saw Frank the longhorn beetle.
Hello there, Frank. It's super to see you,
Stanley said, and the old pals hugged.
I brought this for you.
A football, hooray!
We'll need teams to play a proper game,
Frank reminded him.
Then we'll tell the others to come and we'll have proper teams,
the stag beetle suggested. The two boys called on all the others to come and play football with them. They visited every house, and by the time they had reached the edge of the forest, they had 2 teams. Alfonso agreed to be the referee.
We should sew them football shirts,
Rosita suggested.
One team can play in blue and one team can play in red.
The footballers spent the whole week training.
We sewed these for you,
Zephyr told them, and she handed the red and blue shirts to Stanley.
Thank you,
the 2 teams said together, and they slipped on their new football shirts. Dolly and Rosita set benches up, and the spectators all sat at the side of the pitch. Alfonso blew his referee's whistle, and the match began.
That's it, run, Bubble,
Stanley yelled.
Here, pass it to me,
Bubble shouted.
Hooray!
The blue team cheered as they all embraced.
Come on, Reds! Come on, Blues!
The crowd cheered.
That's not fair, Frank. You can't touch the ball with your hand,
the b-boy complained.
Balthazar's right. Don't do it again, Frank. It's against the rules,
the referee said. The match got very exciting. The Blues were leading 3-2 when the game stopped again.
Frank tripped me up,
Bubble complained.
Yes, I saw that too, Alfonso agreed. I'll have to send you off if you break the rules again, Frank.
Stanley's team looked set to win. Frank started to get crosser and crosser.
I'm going to score a goal now,
he shouted, and he pushed Berry so hard that they ended up falling over and Frank shouted out in pain.
Ouch! My arm!
The others all ran over.
I'll run and fetch Dr. Owl,
Zephyr announced.
If you hadn't hurt yourself so badly, I'd send you off,
Alfonso said.
Yes, I know,
Frank said sadly,
but my hand really hurts.
Dr. Owl was soon at the scene.
Well, you've broken your arm. I'll have to put it in plaster, and you'll have to keep it on for 4 weeks. You'll need to look after it and no running around.
The blue team won the football match.
We'll have to wait a while before we can play again,
Stanley said, and he patted Frank on the back.
Don't be sad. You'll soon be as fit as a fiddle again.
I'm sorry that I broke the rules,
Frank sniffed.
I promise to play fairly when my arm has mended, and we can have another good game of football. I think we should all decorate Frank's plaster cast, Dolly said with a grin. Let's go back to my house for a snack.
The big crowd of friends all piled into Dolly's spotty house. They got her crayons out and drew all kinds of funny things on the longhorn beetle's plaster.
I'm going to keep it as a souvenir after Dr. Owl takes it off,
Frank told them all. Then all the friends sat around the table and ate every last piece of the delicious sponge roll.
Berry the little snail, and Dolly the ladybird play with their forest friends in their happy little world. Dolly the ladybird and Berry the little snail, always fun games to play, always a brand new tale. Berry and Dolly say, what will we learn today?
Easter eggs. Easter had arrived at last. Flutter the butterfly girl, Rosita the rose beetle, Leapy the grasshopper girl and Zephyr the dragonfly all gathered together at Dolly's house to paint eggs for Easter.
How many eggs do we have to paint? Rosita asked. Now let's see, Berry is certain to come and visit tomorrow, but so is Balthazar, Stanley, Eddie, Bubble, Alfonso and Sam Snail. That means we need to paint 7 eggs each. We better get started. Oh, they look so pretty. I'm sure that the boys will love them,
Flutter told the others.
It's time to go home. I've got to get up early tomorrow to make pancakes for the boys,
Flutter said.
I'm going to bake scones, Rosita said. And I'm going to make an apple strudel,
Dolly added. All the girls got up bright and early the next morning. Flutter hurried into the kitchen, put on her apron and mixed up a big batch of pancake batter. Rosita popped her apron on and started to knead her scone dough. Dolly rolled her pastry out and Zephyr made a sponge roll. Leapy woke up feeling quite excited.
Boys never get up early. I've still got plenty of time to bake an apple pie.
And she put a big basket of apples on the table. Oh dear. The basket of apples tipped over and knocked her pretty painted Easter eggs onto the floor. They were all ruined.
Oh, my eggs! Now what am I going to do? What will I give to my visitors?
The little grasshopper girl sobbed as she ran to Dolly's house.
Dolly, I've smashed all 7 of my eggs! Help me!
I haven't got time, Leapy. I'm busy baking. But I've still got 2 unpainted eggs. If you paint them quickly, they'll be dry by the time the boys come.
Rosita! All my eggs got smashed. Can you help?
I'm too busy baking, but you can have these 3 white eggs. You've still got time to paint them if you hurry.
Flutter! Help! I've got to paint my eggs all over again. The first lot got broken.
All of them? I am sorry, but I can't help now. My pancakes will burn. You can have these 2 unpainted eggs I've got left over.
Something terrible has happened, Zephyr. I've broken all the eggs I painted yesterday. Please help me, because I haven't got time to paint another 7 eggs.
Leapy complained to her dragonfly friend.
I know who can help you. Come with me.
The 2 friends ran through the forest all the way to a cave. The spider stumbled sleepily from his home.
Oh, can you help us, Spider?
Zephyr asked.
Leapy's eggs all got broken. And now she has to paint new ones and there's not much time left. The boys will be coming to visit her soon.
If I have to,
the spider grumbled.
Thank you. You're very kind.
Leapy got out all her paints and brushes and the 2 of them started to paint the eggs. The spider could paint 3 eggs at once.
We're ready,
Leapy said with a happy laugh. And then she thanked the spider for his help and she arranged the pretty eggs in a dish. There soon came a knock at Leapy's front door. She opened the door and was greeted by all 7 boys at once. Happy Easter, Leapy! They had all come to see Leapy, who offered them a dish, and they all chose a pretty Easter egg.
I haven't got any cakes to offer you, I'm afraid,
Leapy said in a whisper, and then she told them all about what had happened. Don't worry about that, the boys laughed. We ate strudel at Dolly's house, scones at Rosita's house, pancakes at Flutter's house, and sponge roll at Zephyr's house. Our tummies are full.
Berry the little snail and Dolly the ladybird play with their forest friends in their happy little world. Dolly the ladybird and Berry the little snail, always fun games to play, always a brand new tale. Berry and Dolly say, what will we learn today?
Bad dream. It was a stormy night and Berry the little snail was getting ready to go to sleep. He brushed his teeth and jumped into bed. He soon heard a strange noise outside.
I suppose it's just the wind.
Then he heard the noise again.
What could that be?
He popped his slippers on and opened the door, but couldn't see a soul.
I must be imagining things,
he said, and slipped back into bed. But then someone knocked again.
Who is that?
Berry grumbled. He threw the door open and stared outside.
Grub, come inside. You're so tiny that I didn't see you. What's wrong? I had a bad dream. Can I stay with you for the night?
The grub said.
Of course you can stay.
Berry set to work folding a cardboard box into a bed for the grub.
There you go. You can sleep here. And what can I use for a blanket? My hat should do the trick. It's just like a sleeping bag. That's good, Grub. Now get some sleep. I'm very tired.
Berry was just dropping off to sleep when the green grub spoke.
Can I have the light on, Berry? I'm scared in the dark. The moon's so bright in the sky tonight. There's nothing to be afraid of. Now try and get some sleep. But it's dark,
the grub went on.
It's not dark. It is dark.
Oh, all right. I'll open the curtains and you'll be able to see the moon. The stars are twinkling too. Now let's sleep, Berry complained. The little snail pulled his blanket up to his nose and he was soon fast asleep. But the green grub woke him up again.
I'm thirsty. Then have a drink, Grub,
Berry barked.
I can't reach. Please help me, Berry. I only want a drop of water. Thank you. Sleep well.
And Berry would have slept well if the green grub hadn't woken him up again.
I'm hungry now.
It's too late to eat. We'll have breakfast in the morning.
But I'm hungry. I've had no supper because of the storm,
the grub complained.
Thank you. I won't disturb you again,
the green grub promised. But he didn't keep his promise.
Berry, I can't get to sleep. I'm scared,
he said and woke the little snail up again.
What are you scared of?
Berry asked with an exhausted yawn.
I don't know. Please tell me a story that always sends me off to sleep.
All right, I will. I'll never be able to get to sleep now anyway. Berry started to tell the tiny grub a story. He told him about the day the kite flew away, how they found the mushroom's cap, how Dr. Owl cured his earache, and what the centipede got for Christmas. But the grub hardly heard any of it because he was soon sound asleep. Berry could at last get to bed. By the time they woke, the storm had passed and the sun was shining.
Can you see that picture by my bed? Sometimes I have bad dreams too, and when I do, I think of that fairy. She helps chase all the nasty thoughts and bad dreams away. I'll draw you a picture of something you really like and you can stick it over your bed. Then if you feel sad, you can look at it and you'll soon feel better and the bad dream will float away. The sun. Draw me a picture of the sun. I really like him. He's always smiling. It's really nice. Thank you,
said the grub.
Stick it on your wall over your bed,
Berry said. The grub took the picture with a smile and walked happily home.
Berry Berry the little snail and Dolly the ladybird play with their forest friends in their happy little world. Dolly the ladybird and Berry the little snail, always fun games to play, always a brand new tale. Berry and Dolly say, what will we learn today?
Dumplings. One autumn day, Dolly the ladybird cooked plum dumplings and invited her friends to lunch. Berry came along, and so did Balthazar, Stanley and Flutter. The little ladybird girl put 3 dumplings on each plate. Berry, Dolly and Flutter were soon full.
Plum dumplings. I love them. I could eat 5,
said Balthazar the bee.
5 is nothing. I could eat 7.
7? I could eat 8.
I could eat 10, the little stag beetle announced.
Then let's have a competition,
Balthazar concluded.
Let's see who can eat the most dumplings.
Dolly didn't like the sound of this, and she tried to talk them out of it, but the boys were determined. It'll all end in tears, she warned, but Balthazar and Stanley wouldn't listen.
We've already eaten 3 dumplings. Now let's eat the 4th,
Stanley suggested, and he plopped another dumpling onto each plate. When they had finished, they put another on their plates and ate a 5th dumpling each. After the 5th, they ate a 6th. After the 6th, they ate a 7th. After the 7th, they ate an 8th. And then a 9th dumpling.
And now for the 10th. Can you keep going?
Balthazar asked.
I could eat twice as many,
Stanley said with a shrug. The 2 friends ate so many dumplings that their tummies started to hurt more and more. I'll run and get Dr. Owl, shouted Flutter the butterfly. Dr. Owl examined them both and gave them a good telling off.
What have you 2 been doing? I'm not surprised that you've got stomachache.
They ate 15 each,
Berry said as he counted the plum stones on the plates.
And so it was a draw after all. It was a very silly thing to do. You'll only be allowed to eat boiled potatoes for 3 days. But the chimney cake man's coming to the forest tomorrow,
Stanley complained.
I'm very sorry, but there's going to be no chimney cake for you. Come and see me in 3 days and I'll take a look at your tummies again,
Dr. Owl said with a scowl, and he flew away home. The very next day, the firebug arrived in the meadow with his delicious chimney cakes. All the forest friends flocked to the stall to sample his tasty wares. I'd like a cinnamon one, Dolly said.
And I'd like a coconut one, Berry added.
I only want sugar on mine, Flutter shouted. But there were also cakes with walnuts, poppy seeds and chocolate on them. Balthazar and Stanley looked sadly on, but they did as Dr. Owl had told them. On the 3rd day, the little bee and his stag beetle friend went to see Dr. Owl.
Now let's take a look at you,
said the elderly owl, as he examined them both thoroughly.
You appear to be better. I can see that you did as you were told.
We did, Stanley said with a sob,
but I so wanted to eat a chimney cake.
Stanley and Balthazar said goodbye to Dr. Owl and were walking home when the old bird shouted after them.
Wait 1 second. I've got something for you here. I saved 2 chimney cakes for you.
You went to the meadow, Dr. Owl?
Of course. I bought chimney cakes for my chicks and I put 2 away for you. You did exactly as I said, and so I thought you deserved a treat. Thank you,
the 2 friends said with a smile, and they both threw their arms around Dr. Owl.
Berry the little snail and Dolly the ladybird play with their forest friends in their happy little world. Dolly the ladybird and Berry the little snail, always fun games to play, always a brand new tale. Berry and Dolly say, what will we learn today?
The Star House. One summer evening, Berry and Dolly were sitting playing cards in Dolly's house when they spotted a bright light over the hill.
What was that? Berry asked. It looked like a shooting star.
A shooting star? Let's go and take a closer look, Dolly suggested. Berry and Dolly held hands and walked in the direction of the strange light. Look over there, Berry! The little snail boy's mouth fell open in surprise. Right on the top of the hill stood a house the shape of a star.
Where did that come from? It wasn't there the other day, Berry whispered.
You stay here and I'll run and tell the others, Dolly whispered back, and she flew off to tell Balthazar, Flutter and Stanley. When they were all together, the group of friends crept slowly towards a peculiar house. Stanley knocked on the front door. A shy girl popped her head around the door. She had long hair that sparkled with tiny stars and golden wings that glistened in the darkness. Berry was the first to speak.
Who are you and how did you get here?
But the girl didn't say a word.
Can we help you?
No answer again. The girl just stood there and said nothing.
All right then, if you're not going to speak, then don't. Come on, let's go home.
Wait a minute, Dolly said. Perhaps she can't speak.
She can't speak?
The others asked back in amazement. Dolly picked up a stick and scripted a star on the ground. Then she handed the stick to the girl. The little girl reached for the stick and started to draw. A little harp? Dolly asked, and the little girl nodded. You've lost it? Flutter asked, and the little girl pointed to the window. It fell out of the window? The little girl nodded again.
I don't understand,
Balthazar grumbled. I understand, Dolly said. She lives up in the sky, but she dropped her harp out of the window, and she's come down here to look for it.
Then let's help her,
Balthazar suggested. Don't worry, we'll find it, they all told her, and they hurried off into the forest to search for her missing instrument. I can't find it, Berry said with a sorry sigh. I've looked in all the bushes.
I can't find it either, and I've looked absolutely everywhere, Balthazar added.
I'm going to take a look higher up, Flutter told them, and she flapped up into the trees. Here it is! Here it is! I found it! The little butterfly girl soon shouted. Flutter lifted a little golden harp out of the canary's nest. She carefully handed the harp back to the star girl. The little girl flew back into the house and closed the door. She lifted a sparkling star out of her hair and gave it to Flutter. Is that for me? The little butterfly girl asked in surprise, and the star girl nodded. Then she sat in the window and started to play her harp. And as she played, the star house began to lift higher and higher. She's flying up into the sky, Dolly said with her eyes wide in wonderment. Soon it looked as tiny as all the other twinkling stars in the night sky.
It's a shame that she had to go,
Stanley sighed. Flutter took very good care of her twinkling star. She kept it in a little box and only wore it in her hair on very special days. It always reminded her of the little girl playing the harp in her star house, high up in the sky.
Berry Berry the little snail and Dolly the ladybird play with their forest friends in their happy little world. Dolly the ladybird and Berry the little snail, always fun games to play, always a brand new tale. Berry and Dolly say, what will we learn today?
The board game. It was a lovely spring day and Berry was playing a board game with Flutter. They had to follow a long trail from a mouse to a piece of cheese. The winner is the first one to reach the cheese, the little butterfly girl explained. Berry started the game. He threw the dice and moved his counter. Then it was Flutter's turn. She threw the dice and moved. I won! The little snail boy shouted when his counter reached the piece of cheese. Okay, you won. Let's play it again. Berry won the second game too. I won. I'm the winner again, the little snail boy shouted with pride. Let's play another game. They started to play the game again. This time, Flutter was the first to reach the piece of cheese. I won, Berry. Now I'm the winner, the little butterfly girl announced with a grin. Berry was so upset that he hid under the pine tree, where he threw the dice so that Flutter couldn't see. I threw a 6, but Flutter told him off. That's not fair, Berry. You need to throw the dice where I can see it. No. Throw the dice again, Berry. This time he threw a 2. He got left behind and Flutter won that game. That's not fair. I want to win. That's cheating. But Berry, that's the point of a board game. One player wins and then the other wins. You can't win every time. But I can. I want to win every game, Berry whined. And he was so cross that he threw the board game down on the ground. Okay, if that's how you want it, you can play on your own. And she flew away. It'll be better on my own, Berry grumbled. He threw the dice and moved his counter. He threw again and moved his counter. And he won one game after another. But he soon got bored of the game. He tried playing the game with his teddy. But his teddy wasn't a very exciting opponent. Berry eventually set off to look for Flutter again. It was no good on my own, he thought sadly to himself. He found Flutter playing cards with Dolly, Bubble and Balthazar in the meadow. Can I play too? Berry asked shyly. Well, Berry, you can play, but you're not guaranteed to win. And I wouldn't like you to throw the cards down as well. Flutter eventually shouted after Berry. Berry, you can come and play, but only if you promise not to get cross if you don't win. I promise, Berry agreed and ran to join his pals. They sat playing cards until it got dark. Berry won one game, Flutter won another, and Bubble, Balthazar and Dolly all won one too. Berry was so happy to be playing with his friends that he forgot to get angry when he didn't win. Stanley the stag beetle flew by and shouted down to them. Look, I've carved a roasting stick. Come on, let's make a fire and roast apples. They all seemed to like the idea. Eddie the potato beetle joined them. They all helped to build a fire, sliced apples up and put them on sticks and roasted them over the glowing embers. The little gang of friends ate up all the apples they cooked. Berry gave his last piece of apple to Flutter. He really wanted to say something nice to the little butterfly girl, but all he eventually said was, "Here, this is for you." When all the apples had gone, the friends pushed their sticks into the fire and drew pictures with them in the dark night sky.